1982, Los Angeles. Al Pacino sitting in his studio. Scarface script in his hands. 158 pages. But there's a problem. He's reading Tony Montana, but he's not feeling him. The words are just ink on paper. Not in his soul. And Al Pacino isn't just any actor. He's a method actor who doesn't just play roles, he becomes them. He lives them. He picks up the phone. Dials a number. Hits record on his tape recorder. And that phone call, it's about to change everything. "Find me the real Tony Montana," he says into the phone. "Real drug lords. I want to hear their real stories." Silence on the other end. 5 seconds. 10 seconds. Then a response. "Al, this is dangerous. Really dangerous. These guys don't sit down for coffee with Hollywood actors. These men." Al Pacino cuts him off. "Find them." And just like that, the hunt begins. But here's what nobody knew at that moment. Not the studio. Not director Brian De Palma. Not even Al Pacino himself. This research journey? It was going to take him places where cameras couldn't follow. Places where one wrong word could end a life. Places where Tony Montana wasn't just a character, he was real. 3 days later. Al Pacino gets a call back. "I found someone." "But Al, you need to understand something. This guy? He's not an informant. He's not reformed. He's active. Still in the game. Still moving product. And he said he'll meet you, but only once. And only on his terms." Al Pacino doesn't hesitate. "Where?" "Miami. Tomorrow night. Come alone." Most actors would have said no. Called their agent. Asked for police protection. Set up the meeting in a safe location with security. But Al Pacino? He books a flight that same night. Why? Because he'd already learned something crucial about Tony Montana from just reading the script. Tony wasn't scared of danger. Tony ran toward it. And if Al Pacino was going to play Tony, he needed to think like Tony. The flight to Miami. 3,000 miles, Al Pacino doesn't sleep. He's reading research papers about the cocaine trade. DEA reports. Newspaper clippings about Miami's drug wars. Bodies in the streets. Chainsaw murders. Cocaine cowboys. This wasn't fiction. This was America in 1982. Miami was a war zone. And Al Pacino was flying straight into it, landing in Miami. The heat hits him like a wall. It's 11 p.m. and still 85 degrees. Humid. Thick air you can taste. Al Pacino checks into a hotel. Doesn't unpack. Just waits by the phone. Midnight. The phone rings. Room 412, the voice asks. "Yeah. Be outside in 10 minutes. Black Cadillac. Don't bring anything. No tape recorder. No camera. No notes. Just you." Click. Line goes dead. Al Pacino looks at his tape recorder on the bed. His notebook. His camera. Everything he needs to capture this research. And he's being told to leave it all behind. This is the moment where most people would back out. Call the whole thing off. Too risky. Too dangerous. But Al Pacino remembers something his acting teacher Lee Strasberg once told him: the truth lives in the uncomfortable places. If you're comfortable, you're lying. He leaves everything in the room. Walks outside. Waits. 9 minutes later, not 10, but 9, a black Cadillac pulls up. Tinted windows. Engine running. Back door opens from inside. No one speaks. Al Pacino gets in. The door closes behind him. The car doesn't move yet. And that's when Al Pacino sees him for the first time. The man sitting across from him in the darkness. Late 40s. Sharp suit. Gold Rolex. But his eyes have seen things. Done things. There's no warmth there. No Hollywood charm. Just cold calculation. You're the actor, the man says. Not a question. A statement. Yeah, Al Pacino responds. You want to play a drug lord in a movie? Yeah. The man lights a cigar. Cuban. The smell fills the car. He takes a long drag. Exhales slowly. Studying Al Pacino's face in the smoke. You know what the difference is between you and me? The man finally asks. Al Pacino stays quiet. Lets him talk. You get to pretend to be Tony Montana. You get to say, cut and go home. Me? I live this life every single day. There's no cut. There's no script. There's just survival. You understand that? That's why I'm here, Al Pacino says. To understand. The man smiles. But it's not a friendly smile. It's the smile of a predator looking at prey. Okay, actor. Let's see if you can handle the truth. The car starts moving, they drive for 20 minutes. Through Miami streets. Past Art Deco buildings. Past clubs with lines around the block. Past luxury cars and poverty side by side. This is Miami in the cocaine era. Money and violence dancing together. The car pulls up to a warehouse. Industrial district. No lights. No signs. Just darkness and the sound of the ocean nearby. Get out, the man says. Al Pacino steps out. The warehouse door is already open. He walks in. The man follows. Inside? It's not what Al Pacino expected. No drugs visible. No weapons on tables. No movie clichés. Instead, it's an office. Desk. Chairs. Filing cabinets. Almost normal. Except for the 3 other men standing in the shadows. Silent. Watching. Sit, the man tells Al Pacino. Al Pacino sits. You want to know about Tony Montana? You want to know what makes a drug lord? I'll tell you. But first, you need to understand something. This conversation? It never happened. You never met me. You never came here. Because if anyone finds out you talked to me, your movie won't matter. Because you won't be alive to see it. The words hang in the air. This isn't a movie set. This isn't rehearsal. This is real. And for the first time, Al Pacino feels it. The fear. The danger. The weight of the world he's about to enter. But he doesn't back down. I understand, he says. The man nods. Satisfied. Good. Now let me tell you about power. Real power. Not the Hollywood version. And for the next 3 hours, Al Pacino gets an education no acting school could ever provide. The man talks. About how the cocaine trade works. About the violence. The betrayals. The paranoia. How you can't trust anyone. How your best friend today might be the person who kills you tomorrow. How money changes people. How power corrupts. How fear is the only thing that keeps you alive. But here's what shocked Al Pacino the most. It wasn't the violent stories. It wasn't the drug operations. It was something else. The man tells him, you know what Tony Montana's biggest mistake would be? Pride. Every drug lord who falls? It's because of pride. They think they're untouchable. They think they're smarter than everyone. They start believing their own legend. And that's when they die. Al Pacino leans forward. So how do you survive? The man looks at him dead in the eyes. You don't trust anyone. Not your wife. Not your brother. Not your best friend. The moment you trust someone, that's when you're vulnerable. That's when you die. Tony Montana trusted people. That's why he's a character in a movie. Because in real life, he'd be dead in 6 months. This hits Al Pacino hard. Because the script he read? Tony Montana does trust people. His best friend Manny. His sister. His wife. And according to this real drug lord? That's unrealistic. That's Hollywood fantasy. So you're saying the script is wrong? Al Pacino asks. The man shrugs. I'm saying if you want it realistic, Tony Montana dies alone. Paranoid. Trusting no one. That's the real ending. Al Pacino sits back. Processing this. Because he realizes something. The movie can't be 100% realistic. It needs to be dramatic. It needs relationships. It needs trust and betrayal. But now he knows what real drug lords are like. And that knowledge? That's going to inform every choice he makes in the performance, but then the man says something that changes everything. You want to really understand this life? I'll show you something. He stands up. Walks to a filing cabinet. Opens it. Pulls out a folder. Tosses it on the desk in front of Al Pacino. Open it. Al Pacino opens the folder. Inside? Photos. Crime scene photos. Bodies. Blood. Violence. Real violence. Not movie violence. The kind of violence that makes your stomach turn. That's what this life looks like, the man says. That's what happens when deals go wrong. When someone disrespects you. When someone tries to take what's yours. You wanted reality? There it is. Al Pacino stares at the photos. He's seen violent movies. He's acted in The Godfather. But this? This is different. This is real. These were real people. Real deaths. Real families destroyed. And suddenly, Tony Montana isn't just a role anymore. He's a person who existed. Who exists. Who causes this kind of destruction. The man closes the folder. Still want to play him? Al Pacino looks up. And without hesitation. Yes. More than ever. Because people need to see this. They need to understand what this world really is. The man studies him for a moment. Then nods slowly. You got balls, actor. I'll give you that. The meeting ends. 3 a.m. Al Pacino is driven back to his hotel. Same black Cadillac. Same silence. He gets out. The car drives away. Disappears into the Miami night. Al Pacino goes back to his room. Sits on the bed. Doesn't turn on the lights. Just sits there in the darkness. Replaying everything he just saw. Everything he just heard. His hands are shaking. Not from fear. From adrenaline. From the reality of what he just experienced. He picks up his notebook. Starts writing. Everything he remembers. Every detail. Every word. The smell of the cigar. The coldness in the man's eyes. The weight of real violence. The loneliness of power. He writes for 2 hours straight. Filling page after page after page. And when he's done, he knows something crucial. He knows Tony Montana now. Not just as words on a script. but as a real person. A composite of every drug lord he just learned about. The pride. The paranoia. The violence. The loneliness. But here's what Al Pacino doesn't know yet. That meeting? That wasn't the end of his research. It was just the beginning. Because word spreads fast in the Miami underworld. An actor is asking questions. Wanting to meet drug lords. Wanting the real story. And some people? They want to talk. They want their story told. They want Hollywood to get it right. Over the next 3 weeks, Al Pacino meets with 5 more people. Each one deeper into the drug world than the last. Each one with darker stories. More violent histories. More brutal truths. And each meeting, he learns something new. Something that changes how he sees Tony Montana. One dealer teaches him how to cut cocaine. Shows him the process. The chemistry. The business side. It's not about the drugs, the man tells him. It's about the money. The drugs are just the product. Like selling cars. Except the penalties are higher. Another teaches him the language. The slang. How dealers talk. How they move. How they carry themselves. You walk into a room, you own it, he's told. No hesitation. No weakness. The second you show weakness, you're done. A third teaches him about violence. It's not personal, the man explains. It's business. You kill someone not because you hate them. You kill them because they're in your way. It's mathematics. Problem plus solution equals survival. Each lesson. Each conversation. Each truth. Al Pacino absorbs it all like a sponge. But there's one meeting. One conversation. That terrifies him more than all the others. Week 3 of research. Al Pacino gets a call. Different voice this time. Older. Raspier. You've been talking to the kids, the voice says. Now you want to talk to someone who's been doing this for 30 years? Come to the address I'm texting you. Tonight. 10 p.m. Come alone. The text arrives. An address in Little Havana. Al Pacino recognizes the area from his research. Cuban neighborhood. Heart of Miami's cocaine trade. He arrives at 10 p.m. sharp. Small house. Normal looking. Could be anyone's grandmother's house. He knocks. The door opens. An old man. Mid-60s. White hair. Kind face. He looks like someone's grandfather. Warm smile. Come in, he says in a thick Cuban accent. Al Pacino walks in. The house smells like Cuban food. Arroz con pollo. There's family photos on the walls. Grandchildren. Weddings. Normal life. They sit in the living room. The old man offers him coffee. Cuban coffee. Strong. Sweet. So you're making a movie about us, the old man says. About the cocaine trade, yeah, Al Pacino responds. The old man nods. Sips his coffee. You know what the biggest lie in Hollywood is? Al Pacino waits. That we're monsters. That we're evil. That we're different from everyone else. The old man sets down his coffee. I have grandchildren. I go to church. I donate to charity. I help my community. And yes, I've also killed 47 people. The number hangs in the air. 47 people. The old man continues, you want to play Tony Montana? You need to understand. We're not monsters. We're businessmen. We're fathers. We're human. We just chose a different business. A business where the rules are different. Where violence is part of the contract. Where death is an occupational hazard. Al Pacino is frozen. Because this man, this kind-looking grandfather, just admitted to 47 murders like he's talking about the weather. How do you, Al Pacino starts, then stops. Doesn't know how to ask the question. How do I sleep at night, the old man finishes for him. Is that what you want to ask? Al Pacino nods. The old man smiles sadly. I sleep fine. Because I know the rules. I know what this life is. The 47 people I killed? They knew the rules too. They chose this life. Just like I did. Just like Tony Montana does in your movie. We all know the price. And we all pay it eventually. He stands up. Walks to a drawer. Pulls something out. Hands it to Al Pacino. It's a photo. Young man. Maybe 25. Handsome. Big smile. My son, the old man says. Killed 3 years ago. Drug deal gone wrong. He was in the business. He knew the risks. And he paid the price. Just like I will someday. Just like we all do. Al Pacino looks at the photo. Then at the old man. And he sees it. The pain. The loss. The humanity. This isn't a monster. This is a man who's lost his son. A man who's killed 47 people and watched his own son die in the same world. That's what you need to show in your movie, the old man says quietly. Not just the power. Not just the violence. But the cost. The price we pay for choosing this life. Tony Montana gets rich. Gets powerful. But what does he lose? What does it cost him? And in that moment, Al Pacino understands Tony Montana completely. The pride. The power. The violence. But also, the loneliness. The loss. The inevitable fall. Because that's the truth of the drug lord life. You rise fast. You fall hard. And you always, always, pay the price. Al Pacino flies back to Los Angeles the next day. But he's not the same person who left 3 weeks ago. He's changed. He's seen things. Heard things. Learned things that most people never will. He arrives at Brian De Palma's office. The director is waiting. Excited to hear about the research. So? Brian asks. How was Miami? Did you learn anything useful? Al Pacino sits down. And for a long moment, he doesn't speak. He's just thinking. About the warehouse. About the crime scene photos. About the old man who killed 47 people and lost his son. About the reality of Tony Montana's world. Finally, he looks at Brian De Palma. We need to change the script. Brian's smile fades. What? Why? Because it's not real enough. Tony Montana in this script? He's too Hollywood. Too clean. I need to make him real. Raw. Violent. Paranoid. Lonely. I need to show what this life actually is. Brian De Palma leans back. Al, what did you see out there? What happened in Miami? And that's where chapter 1 ends. What did Al Pacino really see? What specific things terrified Brian De Palma when he finally heard the full story? And how did those 3 weeks of research change Scarface forever? Al Pacino looks at Brian De Palma. The director is waiting. Nervous. He can see something's changed in Al's eyes. Brian, Al says quietly. I met people in Miami. Real people. Drug lords. Active dealers. Men who've killed. Men who've lost everything. And I learned something. He pulls out his notebook. 3 weeks of notes. Pages and pages. Tony Montana can't be a hero. He can't be cool. He can't be someone the audience roots for. He needs to be a warning. Brian De Palma frowns. Al, it's a movie. We need the audience to connect with. No. Al cuts him off. Sharp. Intense. That's exactly the problem. If we make Tony likable, we're glorifying this life. And I saw what this life really is. It's not glamorous. It's not exciting. It's lonely. It's paranoid. It's violent. And it always ends in death. He opens his notebook. Shows Brian his notes. The crime scene photos he memorized. The stories. The violence. There was this old man, Al continues. Kind face. Looked like someone's grandfather. You know what he told me? He's killed 47 people. 47. And his own son died in the drug trade 3 years ago. That's the reality, Brian. You get rich. You get power. But you lose everything that matters. Your family. Your friends. Your soul. That's Tony Montana. Brian De Palma is silent. Processing this. He's directed violent films before. But he's never seen Al Pacino like this. This isn't acting preparation. This is something deeper. Something darker. What exactly are you suggesting? Brian asks carefully. Al Pacino leans forward. Eyes intense. Voice low. I want Tony Montana to be terrifying. Not cool terrifying. Real terrifying. I want the audience to watch him rise and feel uncomfortable. I want them to see the violence and feel sick. I want them to watch him at the end, alone, paranoid, destroyed, and think, thank God that's not me. That's the movie we need to make. Brian sits back. Thinking. This is risky. Studios want entertaining. They want cool anti-heroes. They want Godfather-style glamour. But what Al is describing? It's raw. It's ugly. It's real. The studio will hate this, Brian finally says. I don't care, Al responds. This is the truth. This is what I learned. And if we don't show the truth, then we're lying. We're telling people this life is exciting. That it's worth it. And it's not. Every single person I met in Miami, they told me the same thing. They'd give it all back. The money, the power, everything, for one more day with the people they lost. Brian De Palma looks at his actor. Really looks at him. And he sees it. Al Pacino didn't just research a role in Miami. He went to war. He came back changed. Haunted. Driven. And in that moment, Brian De Palma makes a decision. Okay, he says. Let's make it real. Let's terrify them. Production begins. 1983, the script is rewritten. Darker. More violent. More paranoid. More real. On set, Al Pacino is different. The other actors notice it. He's not the friendly Al they knew before. He's distant. Intense. Method acting taken to the extreme. Between takes, he doesn't break character. He stays in Tony's world. Tony's mindset. Tony's paranoia. Michelle Pfeiffer, playing Elvira, asks him one day, Al, are you okay? You seem different. Al Pacino looks at her with Tony Montana's eyes. Cold. Calculating. I'm fine, he says. But his voice? It's not Al's voice. It's Tony's. The violent scenes? Al insists they be real. Not Hollywood choreography. Real rage. Real brutality. The chainsaw scene? Al wanted it more intense. More horrifying. Because that's what he saw in those crime scene photos. That's the reality. The final scene, Tony's last stand, Al Pacino performs it in one take. Cocaine everywhere. Paranoia at its peak. Screaming, "Say hello to my little friend." Not as a cool catchphrase. But as the desperate cry of a man who's lost everything. A man who's about to pay the ultimate price for his choices. When Brian De Palma yells, "Cut," the entire set is silent. Crew members are shaken. Some are crying. Because what they just witnessed wasn't acting. It was real. It was the culmination of everything Al Pacino learned in Miami. Every conversation. Every truth. Every dark reality of the drug lord life, Scarface releases. 1983, the reviews are brutal. Critics call it too violent. Too disturbing. Too dark. But Al Pacino doesn't care. Because he knows something they don't. He made the movie for the people in Miami. The real drug lords. The ones who showed him the truth. He made it as a warning. Not as entertainment. Years later, decades later, Scarface becomes a cult classic. But not in the way Al intended. People wear Tony Montana t-shirts. Rappers quote his lines. The "say hello to my little friend" becomes a catchphrase. Tony Montana becomes an icon. And Al Pacino? He's conflicted. Because they missed the point. They saw the power and ignored the fall. They saw the money and ignored the cost. They saw the rise and forgot the ending. In a 2005 interview, Al Pacino is asked about Scarface. About the legacy. About Tony Montana. He pauses. Thinks about Miami. About the warehouse. About the old man with 47 kills. About the truth he learned. Tony Montana, Al says slowly, is not a hero. He's a tragedy. He's a warning of what happens when you choose power over people. When you choose money over meaning. When you choose the game over your soul. I went to Miami to learn how to play a drug lord. And I learned that drug lords don't win. They just die slower. He looks directly at the camera. One final message. If you idolize Tony Montana, you missed the point. Watch the ending. Watch him die alone. Paranoid. Surrounded by enemies. Having lost everyone he ever loved. That's the message. That's what I learned in Miami. That's what those real drug lords taught me. The game doesn't love you back. It just takes. And takes. And takes. Until there's nothing left. The interviewer sits in silence. And Al Pacino, the man who met real drug lords, who saw real violence, who learned real truths, leans back. His job is done. The truth is told. Whether people listen? That's up to them.